I'll always be in some ways grateful to Jordan Peterson. He was one of the first who kind of started the trend of standing up to the pronouns people.
The pronouns people.
Both of us assumed that you were a homosexual, and both of us were right.
What does it have to do with anything? This is why people shouldn't take this guy seriously.
Don't you love trans people, Parker? You said that you would date a trans person. Remember that?
This is the whole debate tactic. Just say something stupid, and then when people respond, try to make people triggered.
If you want to have a pride day, fine. But why a month? If it's a day longer than I get as a straight guy.
Every Kid Rock concert is Straight Pride Day.
This is Sesame Street, where all the puppets are holding hands, and they say, on our street, everyone is welcome. The problem with this is, it's this kind of enforced virtue signaling.
Hasn't that always been what the Sesame Streets have been about? Teaching you to respect other people that aren't like you? These are the puppets here. Which one of these looks straight?
We're talking about the sense of pride that matters, to your identity, who you are, Christian.
I said virtue,
gay,
vice,
straight.
ethic, and you use an argument from equivocation. It's two different.
Oh my God, this is such a performance piece. I am 100% willing to cancel Pride Month if we also cancel these debates. If we're gonna cancel one gay thing, we gotta cancel all gay things. All right, guys, I want to watch this. We're gonna skip the intro because it's just basically them on Jubilee. Because two of the people in here, Parker and some other guy, they were on Jubilee. Isn't that cool? That video was the Jordan Peterson one. So it was Parker and this kid. But then we have, listen, this is the favorite part here is we have the grape guy, our grape apologist here, Mr. Banana Republic himself, Andrew Wilson, I think is his last name, right? And I'm just curious about what the conversation is going to be like. This is going to be like Ultimate Debate Bro Central. So I want to watch it. Let's do it.
Right, you're
One of Peterson's young inquisitors posted on X. Peterson was no Christian. Let's move on. Are there any actual Christians that want to debate?
Isn't that what wasn't it called like 20 atheists versus like a Christian with Jordan Peterson? And then they changed it to Jordan Peterson later or something like that because he said he wasn't a Christian and he got upset.
Which is quite the challenge. But one that, of course, we on Uncensored are only too keen to facilitate. So making their uncensored debut from the Danny Phil Talk channel, Danny Shaw, and Parker from the Parker Get a Job channel.
Hey, good for them. Good for them, guys. You know, what a beautiful thing.
We've arranged for them to take on two of the most notorious and fearsome debaters on the internet, who also happen to be conservative Christians, the king of blood sport debating.
This guy's such a fucking weirdo.
Andrew Wilson from
what's so funny about this guy is that he just loves talking about rape. It's not really funny, but it is. Like, he seemed like I watched there was that clip going around that he was like, oh, it's out of context, people are taking it out of context, you're all stupid, debate me, which I'm not going to debate him on the clip. And I watched his response to it, and which he doesn't actually give you, like, show the context. He explains the context. He was talking to some kid, Oliver, on the Whatever podcast, and in the conversation they're talking about like, hey, do you think people should wait till marriage to have sex? And the Oliver kid's like, yeah, I think that could work for some people, but not everybody. And he's like, well, the statistics are in favor of waiting. And then the guy's like, well, I think that could work with some people. And then he starts going into this comparison that's like, oh, really? Do you think some people like rape then? And it's like, dude, that's going that extreme makes absolutely no sense, especially since if you apply any level of critical thought, you could probably make a reasonable assumption that people who aren't super sexually driven are probably easier to maintain relationships because they're not super sexually driven and like hungry for, sex with potentially other people. Right. But like, he loves to just go right there and he thinks it proves his point. It doesn't. It's a weird debate tactic. It's like it would be like debate rape. Like, it's fucking weird. It's just childish. It's just debate pervert shit. That's all it is. He's just looking for viral clips. That's another thing he said too. He's like, I say do this all the time and people take me out of context all the time. I was like, why are you constantly farming for like riled up clips? It makes no sense. It's just ridiculous.
The Crucible, and the equally forthright author, comedian, and commentator Jay Dyer from the Jay Dyer channel. Welcome to all.
Comedian, he must be funny, or maybe he's just calls himself that because he likes to do the cringe shit.
All of you. Well, let me start with you, Parker.
Yesterday, Parker was defending us on saying he's not anti-Semitic. This is disappointing. That's not really disappointing. Unless you're like super terminally online, you don't see like how often Hassan dog whistles and like you actually watch it. Like, you have to be. That's why I don't think it's like disappointing. I think that he's Parker is not as like drama oriented as Hassan. Hassan is in the political drama community. Parker's in like the political debate community. And so like he doesn't have enough of like an interest in like what's going on to understand what's actually like going on underneath there. So
Were you surprised by the reaction to what went down with Jordan Peterson?
Actually, no. I was actually expecting this to happen, as I knew before this, as I watched the Alex O'Connor debate against Jordan Peterson. That
Alex O'Connor's great. We should watch that. I love Alex O'Connor. He's actually like an intelligent guy who has conversations. Like he's a really, I respect the hell out of that guy.
was very, very not likely to, like being associated with Christianity. So I knew actually going into this that I was going to ask him a question specifically about whether or not he believes this to be the case, and that he would likely be not very upfront with his answer. So I actually kind of expected there to be a response like this. Now, I didn't expect it to go as viral as it did, as there are literally tens of millions of views on clips associated with mine and Danny's against Jordan Peterson all over social media. So it's actually really cool to see that, everyone across the board, whether they be Christians, atheists, Muslims, right, et cetera, actually see that like he's really not wanting to answer the question there because he doesn't want to be associated with Christianity for some reason.
And
I don't know, man. Jordan Peterson's just, I don't know. He might actually be on drugs or something. He's just like really out there in such a weird way.
Danny, I mean, you were the smart ass in the room, according to Jordan. What's been your reaction to the?
I didn't watch him, and they fucking they DMCA everybody, and I didn't feel like going around it. So
the fallout.
I'm generally happy that that people can see the frustration that we have with Peterson. I would say that atheists are not the only ones that are frustrated. Christians are, right? Here we have Peterson saying things like
Kermit the Frog is too. He's given his voice a bad name. You know, that's why they shut down the Muppets Land in Disney, because of all the horrible associations with Kermit the Frog's voice and Jordan Peterson. They couldn't even differentiate the two, and so they had to shut it down because of all the bad PR. Serious. That's all serious.
Like, yeah, I think Jesus might have resurrected, but I don't know what that means. Yeah, I might be a Christian in some sense. I'm a one-of-a-kind Christian. It's all wishy-washy. We're all frustrated, and I think that the video.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jordan seems like the kind of guy that just tries to. He just is aligning more conservative because he's upset that the liberal audience didn't like him a few years ago, and so he spiraled out of control.
Is the culmination of that frustration.
Okay, well, the good news, like I told you, is we found two far from shy Christians to take you on in this arena. Andrew Wilson, let me start with you. What was your reaction to these two and their showdown with Jordan Peterson?
I mean, I kind of have to agree with Danny a little bit. Right? It's like, like people have been wanting this guy to take the position on whether he's a Christian or not a Christian forever, on the right, the left, center, basically across the board. Now, I'll always be in some ways grateful to Jordan Peterson. He was one of the first who kind of started the trend of standing up to the pronouns people, which was pretty.
The pronouns people. It's fuck, man. It's crazy how triggered grown men get about pronouns. It's so weird.
Epic to watch. But,
yeah, I don't like the pronouns people. They're all so crazy. Their logic makes no sense. By the way, guys, did you know that if you're a good boy, you get to go to eternal bliss? But if you finger your prostate, you will literally be tortured in hell for all time unless you apologize. You apologize to a priest, you can actually violently molest children, and you'll still go to eternal heaven as long as you're genuinely sorry about it. So that, by the way, that's not fucking crazy. But somebody thinking that they were born in the wrong body, that must be fucking, that's crazy, dude. These pronoun people are wild, dude. What the fuck? These people are insane. What the hell is going on here, bro? What the fuck?
Ultimately, he's kind of a shell of his former self. He didn't look great going through that debate. He looked kind of run down. I think that him being on with the Daily Wire probably hasn't been great for him.
Maybe
he's not he doesn't have the kind of edge that he used to have. But ultimately, I mean, I was actually kind of glad to see it. It's about.
Why is it such a big deal to respect people's pronouns? I mean, just not for anything. When he says pronoun people, he's not like talking about respecting pronouns. He's talking about hating. He hates trans people. That's what he hates. Okay.
And we know, are you or aren't you? Get off the shit or get off the pot. Essentially, right? Are you a Christian or aren't you a Christian? That's a fair question.
I'm a Daniel personally.
And Jay, I mean, ultimately, these two young men on the panel today, they're sworn atheists. Damn. You obviously are
I think I'm agnostic. It's hard to tell, man. There's a lot of crazy shit going on.
Not. So if you were actually conducting a debate about their atheism against your Christianity, how would you take them on, given what happened to Jordan?
Well, it depends on what you mean, Piers.
Oh, that was silly. I thought it was actually Jordan Peterson.
Depends on what you mean.
That's the comedian. That's our funny guy, dude. He's he's a funny dude. That's our little comedian, bro. Come on, knock it off.
You know,
Sorry, it's about the game. Not that.
how would I take them on? Well, I think there's a lot of different ways that you could critique an atheist position. Most of the time, I argue from the three branches of philosophy: epistemology, metaphysics, and ethics.
Yeah.
Those are just the three branches of any world.
If you wanted to argue against, and by the way, I think religion can be a beautiful thing. It's unfortunate that it's used constantly to oppress people. But if you wanted to argue against religion, you could just say there's literally no proof of its existence. So we don't really have to get into a whole philosophical conversation about it.
View, and everybody has a worldview, whether they know it consciously or not.
Everybody has a worldview, whether they have it consciously or not. Okay. All right, guys. He's just talking.
So I would critique the foundations of the atheist materialist worldview to see if it's rational, if it's coherent, if it can provide a justification for knowledge or ethical oughts. So I think that would have been a much better.
Here's mine, dude. Do you want the people? Do you want the others what you would want to do unto you, dude? There you go. It actually can carry you pretty far. I don't want to die, so I'm not going to die, people. You know? That's pretty much it.
In fact, Peterson used to kind of take that approach when he debated Sam Harris. He would call out the is-ought problem with Sam Harris. When he debated Matt Dillahunty, he would call out the exact same types of preconditions for a worldview issue that I used to do, or I usually do. So I think
the is-ought fallacy occurs when somebody incorrectly assumes that because something is a certain way that it ought to be that way. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about.
I think that'd be a better route than just sort of having this.
That's from the Bible? Oh shit, I'm fucking Christian, dude. I'm Roman Catholic. All right, Roman Catholic religiously.
Ambiguous.
At least I was raised as such.
Jungian position of non-committal, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to you, Parker and Danny, that I've interviewed Jordan Peterson a lot, maybe 5-6 times on Uncensored. Quite long interviews, often quite emotional. He's an emotional guy. I would
There's nothing wrong with crying, but like he seems to cry every time he fucking talks. It's insane.
disagree with Andrew about him losing his edge. I think he's still got the edge. I also think that putting aside the whole debate about Christianity and whether he is or not, he's always been oddly ambiguous about it to someone who's so unambiguous about everything else. But that's his right. He's entitled to do that.
I suppose it just makes him look bad, no?
As a force for good, though, for young men.
Is he? Okay.
I do think that
I think he could have been. He's like kind of just spiraling at this point, no?
comparison, for example, to Andrew Tate.
I guess he's better than some. Well, I mean, when you compare anybody to Andrew Tate, you're a good role model. So that guy is a sex trafficking rapist. So
Jordan Peterson has been a far better influence over the minds of young men of your kind of age than someone like Andrew Tate would ever be. Would you?
That's really true. Did you guys know that piss tastes a lot better than shit? Isn't that fucking crazy? I was sitting there and like I got some poop in my mouth the other day. And I was like, wow, this is horrible. You know what is really good though? Piss. So I just started drinking my own urine. And it tasted so good. And I was like, wow, this is this is incredible. Okay, this is and you know what? It wasn't that bad because I'm diabetic and I have sugar in my pee. So, you know, it really is recycling if you think of it that way. Isn't it beautiful?
Do you agree with that, Parker?
I actually would agree with that, although the bar is literally in hell.
True.
Right. I mean, you must see some
Right. Like he acknowledges that's true. Yeah. Okay.
positives in the general messaging that Jordan gives for young men about wanting to improve their lives, wanting to empower themselves, you know, opening up and so on. And do you accept that?
I mean, I personally, and this could just be me, I've never really seen that much from Jordan about empowering themselves. I see, the most viral stuff that comes from Jordan is either him getting made fun of, or him being like really hating trans people. He seems to be pretty into that, you know? And so, you know, whether you like trans people or not, it does seem a little strange to centralize, you know, your philosophy around that as like your fucking, which again, it seems to be kind of the case there. But maybe he does do a lot of good, you know?
About him.
I think it's good to open up, and I think it's good for like men to like want to improve their lives, but we also need to be very specific on like what is improving towards their lives. And I honestly don't think that like Jordan Peterson, like within all respects, would be upholding that. But sure, I can say he's better than someone like Andrew Tate. Like I think that's pretty obvious.
True.
Danny, what's
He used to tell people to clean their rooms and shit. Oh, that's good advice. Yeah, sure. Cool. I like that.
your view of Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson when it comes to their influence on young men? Because it is huge.
Yeah, I think
We're both of them. I can tell you, when I walk around, most people under 25 who are male come up and they ask me either about Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like the question is like asking a Republican, is Joe Biden better than like Mussolini, right? I mean, it's such a vast difference. I would say that it seems like that Jordan Peterson has benefited people, mostly in the psychology realm, like, the whole 12 rules for life and stuff, which a lot of those rules seems to be rules that my grandma could tell me. But granted, the point is that, yeah, he's probably helped people. I have no problem with saying that.
All right, Andrew, let's turn to some other issues here. One is Pride Month. Now, my view of
Why? What a Pride Month? What?
this is I don't understand why we need a whole month for Pride. I don't even get an hour as a straight guy. So,
Okay, I don't know. The Pride Month stuff is just always so gay. It's always the people criticizing Pride Month that are the gayest. Because, like, it's just it started because gay people used to be beaten to death for being gay. And then people stood up for those rights, and then they implemented Pride, and it was a whole month of awareness for a group of people who really needed it. And nowadays, does Pride need it? No, but now it's just a fun time for people to be silly and and have like a lot of fun, and it's become very commercialized, and there's a lot of money's involved, and so now it's become probably, I would say, overly sexualized. I'm not going to lie about that. And maybe it's a little crazy, but I don't care. Who cares? I just don't celebrate it. I don't know. Does it really need a month? Like, we have like a military month. Nobody celebrates. They don't care. Everybody who complains about Pride Month typically doesn't care about these other months. Stop caring and it'll fade away. And it seems to have already kind of like slowly fading away, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because like as gay people become more accepted, there becomes less of a need to have a big gay pride festival month. I'm indifferent because I just don't really give a shit. And so like we're just kind of like, right. So I'm pretty sure like a bunch of it's gay month now. It's Pride Month now. I haven't seen any companies changing to the gay pride symbol. It's already de-escalating. The conversation doesn't need to happen. This is how things happen. Hey, we are in a cultural time where this is super important. We're going to give it a month. Time goes by. That thing becomes more generally accepted. Blah, 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 blah. People care about it less. The month is still there, but there's less celebration. And that's pretty much how it happens. That's all. That's it. That's just how these things work. I don't think that we need to have a robust debate about something that's slowly socially exiting the atmosphere. Who gives a shit?
Why do we need a month for Pride? And it's not because I'm remotely homophobic, because I'm not. I'm the complete opposite.
Whoa, okay. All right, Piers. He likes a little zesty boy. I like it.
Was absolutely supported gay rights. I just don't get why we need to have a month of Pride. Beam's creatine is America's #1, and it's made by a company.
What the fuck? Okay, God bless him, man. We watched the ads for these. Where the fuck? I've never seen this before. Hey, why do we need a gay month? Get some creatine and go to the fucking gym.
Founded on values like hard work and delivering real results. Creatine is often dismissed as just for bodybuilders, but the truth is that it's one of the most researched, effective, and safest supplements for supporting strength, brain.
That's true. Just make sure you drink a lot of water, because it pretty much fills your muscles up with water to promote faster recovery.
Brain health and longevity. Quality matters, of course, and Beam Creatine delivers. There's no fillers, no sugar, and nothing synthetic. Just clean, science-backed creatine for strength, focus, and results. We've teamed up to give you up to 30% off their best-selling creatine for a limited time only. Go to shopbeam.com/Piers and use the code Piers at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Piers, Piers. Use the code Piers for up to 30% off. These sales don't happen very often. This is the lowest price you'll find anywhere for a product of this quality.
Incredible.
Go to shopbeam.com/Piers and use the promo code Piers for up to 30% off.
Going crazy.
Well, Pride's always been completely astroturfed. I mean, to be honest, right from the very beginning, it's been astroturfed. It was always pumped full of government money, NGO funding. It was pumped full of corporate money. There was an article that came out. You can find
just because something is pumped full of corporate money doesn't make it like a bad thing. That's usually what will happen though. Like, oh look, everybody likes this thing. Let's make some money on it, baby. You know. But it's I don't think it's always been like that. It started out like very well meaning, and then that just became like, I mean, really, it just became a party. That's really like what Pride is. It's a big
Part
party.
of the Drudge Report came out today from, I believe it was Daily Telegram. It's pretty interesting. They went over, a lot of the modern Trump administration and what they have done with their executive orders. A lot of companies have begun moving away from trying to kind of fund this, and it hasn't been popular for the last couple of years anyway. There's been a lot of pushback on various large corporations, companies, and NGOs
Yeah, because they're seeing people are mostly just virtue signaling about it and don't really care.
for trying to pump kind of artificially these organizations. One of the things that article points out, which I tend to agree with, is that, hey, look, ultimately, when these companies are doing this, people lose trust for them. You remember there was a big thing with Target not that long ago. Anytime this comes
Well,
to
a
light,
lot of it's because, like, when it comes down to it, conservatives love complaining about gay people. When there's no other actual policy, which has been a big thing for years, there's no meaningful conservative policy. That's why Doge hasn't actually given us anything. There's there's really no actual receipts in any meaningful capacity of what they've cut. Truly, it's a bunch of claims without any like meaningful receipts. And so we don't really get many results. But like so this is what conservatives do. They can typically they will typically sit here and they'll fucking complain about gay people, gay people, gay people, gay people, gay people. There's literally no policy other than gay bad. And then they complain enough to like bully industry away from it because they're like, we don't want to see this, we don't want to see this. And the reason they don't want to see it is because they are incredibly gay and they get horny every time they see gay shit all over the place. That's literally all it is. So that's the only reason that there's criticism about it.
there's actually a backlash. People can kind of see that it's artificially held up. There's no reason for it. It's silly. It has never really been about gay rights. It's
What do
been
you mean
about
there's no
weird.
reason for it? What do you mean?
It's
what do you
been
mean there's no
it's
reason?
been well because it's
What do
always
you mean there's
really
no
been
reason
about
for it, right? They're
I'm trying to
bullies
an-
like
Do
you.
you want me to answer
right?
it? Do you want me to
Oh my god, dude, don't go into like the soy shit. Okay.
answer the question or no?
Yeah, you can go ahead and I'll explain to you why.
I think this is Andrew's one of his like wow, incredible. One of his tactics is to play like is to pretend that like he's oppressed. So he like when somebody's like, hey, what do you mean by that? Like Andrew's made his point, but he likes to filibuster yap to sound smart. And so now this guy's like, okay, what do you mean by that? Oh, can I finish my point? It's like, well, he pretty much made his entire point. He's just talking to hear himself talk at this point.
Well, I think there's a reason after.
Okay. Yeah. So there's no real reason for it. It's been about pushing sexual perversion. It's never really been about anything to do
There you go. He just thinks being gay is a perverted thing.
with homosexuals themselves
This is the guy who loves comparing everything to rape, is talking about sexual perversion, by the way, just to be clear.
not having rights or having rights. It's never been about that.
Well, gay people used to not have rights. I think it was kind of about that for a while.
It's been about weird gay pride parades and all kinds of weird sexual stuff. It really has never been about that. And that's what the American people think. That's what they see. That's why
It's not really what people think, but okay.
you see companies moving away from it.
I don't think that's true. Look, they're gay people like let's take you for example. You're the reason, right? When I first talked to you, right, we were having a normal debate about I think morality, and then you randomly asked me, "What's your are you a homosexual?"
And you were, right?
Right? And then
And you were, right?
also with
But
and
hang on,
Jay Dyer's
was I
the same
right
thing.
though? Was I right?
All we have to do is play the game back. Let me talk, like Andrew does.
I'm not homosexual. No, I'm
You
married to
said
a
that you were
woman. I'm bisexual.
bisexual. You said that you were
Right.
bisexual. That's
Homosexual
homosexual.
is not
So I
the
was
same as bisexual.
there's
You can
certain
learn the
Yeah, you're 50% homosexual, dude.
definitions of
ways.
terms, but
Look,
the
there's
point is
certain
that
ways that
people like
people
you and Jay
conduct
Dyer,
themselves.
people like you and Jay Dyer, bully.
Uh-huh.
Well, doesn't this guy have his wife do everything for him, and he's just a complete lazy baby that doesn't even wipe his pants? He doesn't wipe his pants. I don't know. He pisses his pants, I guess now. But I'm pretty sure like he can't open pickle jars. He's got no typical masculinity, and he has his wife do everything for him. So what?
LGBTQ people.
Oh, yeah,
That's
everyone's
why
bullied,
it's
yeah.
pride because of the kind of stigmas that you promote.
Okay, so here's the
True.
thing that's so funny about this is like if both me and Jay Dyer, both of us assumed that you were a homosexual and both of us were right. That's what's so funny about it. We
Again,
both assumed
What does it have to do with anything? This is why people shouldn't take this guy seriously. What kind of a debate tactic is that? Yeah, we could tell you're gay. I could tell people are gay too. It doesn't mean anything. What does it matter? What does being able to tell somebody's gay have to do with anything? What the fuck?
you were,
why
you
are
were
you saying
gay,
homosexual?
and we were
On the
both
lips,
correct, and
baby.
we're gay.
Andrew, is there
So the
anything
point
wrong
that
with
we
him being
don't have-
gay?
Go ahead, Parker.
Huh?
Is there anything wrong with him being gay?
Yeah, he doesn't like gay people. He obviously hates gay people. He thinks that they're all gross because he loves cock.
There's a problem with you guys supporting an NGO-funded
the fuck?
kind of AstroTurf program to promote
He says it's a degenerate. He thinks being gay is wrong.
rights, which aren't even about promoting rights.
Was that a response to what he
the
just
whole, the whole ordeal here is, well, what's the prompt, Parker? The prompt is about pride. And so you're supporting an AstroTurfed, completely AstroTurf NGO funded thing. It has nothing to do with gay rights at all. And people don't like it, Parker. They don't like it, Parker.
Okay.
Parker,
So that
I would
wasn't
ask
my-
you.
answer
I would
my-
ask Parker this. Look, I mean, look, Andrew, you said
my
some
question.
things which I completely disagree with about this issue. You said women will never truly understand why men find homosexuality so depraved. We don't think there's a problem there. We
Actually, yeah, no, that's 100% true. I'm going to tell you right now, it's 1,000% true. If Parker said that, that's actually 1,000% true. Just to be clear, I think gay people are valid as fuck. When I think of two guys kissing, I get grossed out. Like, I'm not even making jokes. It fucking grosses me out. I don't think a single, or at the very least, I would say most women don't find it really gross for women to kiss each other, but dudes find it super gross when dudes kiss each other. And I think, and there's something there. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I think that that's how a lot of guys feel, even if they validate LGBTQ shit. You know, whereas like I think it's hot as hell when you got two ladies kissing. That's hot as shit. You know what I mean? And so there's something going on there. And I don't know what it is exactly, but yeah, that's 100% true, man.
know there's a problem there. I'm a man. I don't find homosexuality remotely depraved. I think people's sexuality is what it is. So I don't
Okay.
agree with you with some of the statements you.
It's still gross when two guys kiss. Okay, right? Like we come on, just be real. Just be real here, Piers. It's still gross. You can say that there's nothing wrong with being gay. It's still find it like yucky when you think about dudes kissing on the fucking lips. It's still. I think a lot of it comes from that. I think a lot of it, especially men, tend to be, I would say, less accepting. That's why women, I would say that's where like the legislation comes from. It's like, oh, legislate that away. I find it yucky. Ew. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. So, yeah, man. I think there's really something. I think there's something there about that.
Made. However,
And also, I love it. Watch lesbians. I could watch that shit all day, dude. That's fucking crazy. Are you kidding me? I could watch this. I don't even watch straight porn anymore because that's kind of gay. Oh, I'm gonna watch a guy have sex with a girl. What? Yeah, that's why I watch trans women fuck women because that's the ultimate straight move. Okay, you have to be an ultimate. You want to be an ultimate straighty? You can't be watching dudes fuck a girl. That's fucking gay. You want to be a straight guy? You got to watch. You got to do it the right way. You have to do it the right way, okay? You got to do it the right way.
however, Parker, I am increasingly bemused why, when there are so many important things in the world to worry about, we devote a whole month to gay pride. Why do
Well, it's so that you have something to talk about on your show, Piers. Dude, you guys love talking about gay shit. If you really, nobody gives a fuck. You could just not celebrate it. Nobody celebrates Military Month. You could just not celebrate the month at all. Stop celebrating the month, and it won't fucking matter.
we?
But you guys talk about it all the time because you know it gets you views all the time.
There are plenty of
It's fucking crazy.
things that we specifically have months for to celebrate that I think are incredibly important. This, in this specific example, is incredibly important because of the dehumanization and the bigotry espoused specifically by people like Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson, and
I mean, I guess there is a level of truth to that for sure.
explicitly kicking people off of their panels because they're gay, right, or because they're homosexual, which I think is incredibly ridiculous.
But you know
Right?
as
They
well
have
as I
such a-
do,
they have such
Parker,
a-
that
Can I please finish?
if you
Can I please
compare
finish, Piers?
it, well, hang on, I'll say if you go back 35, 40 years, I would completely agree with you. But the idea that that is still the case today, I just don't feel it. Do you I mean
Which is a stupid thing to say. We know that there's plenty of like homophobia out there, right? Like, have you ever been in a Papa Gut chat? There's plenty of homophobia out there. People still don't like gay people. Like, what you're saying is silly. He has to know that. There's no way he doesn't know that. That's just like you're being ridiculous at that point. Like that's the entire conservative strategy. So
certainly
Piers, have you never been on
young people
Twitter?
in particular do not. It's just moved
Piers,
on. isn't it?
respectfully, how would you know as a straight person? Like, how would you do you experience it?
it's definitely not going to get through to anybody to say, "Oh, how do you know it's a straight person?" But okay, I guess you could go in that direction.
Why are you assuming my
I want
sexuality?
to talk about
Okay, then we're just going to start trolling. This is unproductive as fuck.
Piers. I want to talk about my
Because you
experience
talked
when I
about
went viral. Piers, when I went viral, right? I had people message, saying, calling me the F slur, saying I had a gay
Whoa,
list, right?
booze.
When I'm married to a woman,
Kidding.
right? If I'm not even a homosexual, and if people are bullying me for that, I can't imagine what actual homosexuals have to go through. So,
But what
there's
is it? If you don't mind me
tons of
asking, given it's now been sort of raised, and I'm not quite sure, are you straight? Are you bisexual? What's the
I'm
deal?
You just say he's bisexual.
bisexual. I've been married to a woman happily for 5 years, and we're not.
Oh, then you're not bisexual anymore, right? Like bisexual racer and all that, right? Thanks.
Okay, all
Two
right.
gaytheists. I want to chime in.
All right.
We have two gaytheists on the panel. and that
Ooh, he got him with call him gay theist.
said that I
See, like
bullied
this
them.
kind of
and
behavior. Look at this behavior.
that- yeah,
Gay
that's
people-
called a joke. That's called a joke.
Yeah,
Sensitive
they're
man.
funny, Jay.
Yeah, see, I did assume that this comedian was just going to be obnoxious conservative, calling himself a comedian. But yeah,
Oh my
It's a
God, look at this
homophobic show.
behavior. This behavior is
This-
out
No,
of
you are
control.
too gay for
It's
this,
too
so
much
it's
behavior.
not
Bad
like-
behavior.
I'm sorry. Hold up. Are you guys Christians? I thought we're supposed to be loving to thy neighbor.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so cringe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
the only
love
thing-
also includes
but-
telling you when it's wrong.
Don't
so.
you love trans people, Parker? You said that you would date a trans person. Remember that?
Parker got super fucking uncomfortable when people ask him about trans people. It's actually so weird, honestly.
Or
Yeah,
was it-
and what's wrong with that?
I think that
What's
you're
wrong
more,
with
I
that?
guess you are more loving than me than Parker. I wouldn't date a trans person. But,
Okay,
hey,
okay.
he's
Is that
right.
supposed to be like
It's
a?
okay.
This is the whole debate tactic, is just complete, like, just constantly just say something stupid, and then when people respond, try to make people triggered instead of actually fucking talk about something productive. That's fucking crazy. All right, well, I guess whatever works.
Critique of me?
So the
Wait,
problem
what
is
happened to being
that
loving?
these guys
I asked,
can't
I
give
asked
an
you as
account
Christians.
for the
I called
good.
for you as Christians to be loving.
All they've
And both
talked
of you did
about
not
is
show
what's
love, and you
right
just
and
You don't
showed
know what
being.
loving
You started
means.
being
You don't know what that
bigoted.
means.
They
Oh,
can't
let's
give
not,
an
let's not
account.
talk over each other because then we're going to overhear. Jay.
Yeah. So earlier
Also
in the
went
first
wrong.
section, we talked about Peterson. We were talking about what was good for men.
Yeah.
And whether Tate was good or Peterson was good. And now we're talking about ethics in the sexual domain, which there's no basis in their worldview for anything to be morally,
What's the argument for
objectively
that?
right or wrong, other
Why
than
would
their
anyone
personal
believe that?
preferences. So if there are,
Why would
if there's
anyone
nothing
believe that, Jay?
objectively
You're just
wrong,
making a claim.
there's no reason why bigotry is wrong. Why is bigotry wrong?
Well,
Whoa,
support your
okay.
claim. Don't run from your claim. Support it. Right? We have no. You're saying
What the fuck is this?
we as atheists have no basis of morality. Support that.
Yeah, no epistemic basis for getting an
Yeah, you don't have like a made up religion to support your, which is kind of what it is, right? Like, you know, religions are structured around like the, you know, the morals of a society, right? So like, if you have a society where like a king is in charge, you're gonna want there to be one god that apparently represents you, right? So yeah, okay. I mean, I think it's pretty low IQ to say I have to get my morals from religion, that they can come from anywhere else. It just means that you're like a baby that needs to be spoon fed information because you can't make up your mind.
ought from an is.
Yeah, that's a claim. Okay, well, you're saying
This is actually a fallacy.
Argument. It's a famous
morality,
argument.
right? You're saying that atheists can't account for morality. So what's the argument for that?
You can't get an ought from an is the argument. Back to Hume.
It looks like you don't know what an argument is. Come on, reason. Try to go from one line of reasoning to another. Do you know what an
Wow, Piers, good job, bud. This is your legacy.
argument
You
is?
cannot get an
Coward?
ought from an is. You're an atheist.
That's
In a
just
materialistic
okay, but what does that
worldview,
have to
there's
do with
no ought.
atheism? What does that have to do with
In
atheism?
a materialistic atheistic worldview, there are no oughts.
First of all, I'm not a
You
materialist.
don't know the
and-
basic problem
and
of
that's just
ought
another
from is?
claim.
This is so
That's just
cringe.
It's not
another
a claim. It's an
Insult
argument.
claim?
It's a famous historical.
Look,
You don't know
you're
the
just
difference
a
between a
coward.
claim
You
and an
made a claim.
argument.
You can't defend it.
It's an argument. It goes back to David Hume.
Can you
Oh,
tell us
it's
what
you
an
don't know
argument
that
is?
you
claim,
know that.
right?
You don't know
Look,
the difference
everyone,
between.
look what just happened. Look what just happened. This guy said,
Just what just
atheism
happened is that you didn't know the
foundation
difference between
of
argument and
morality. Why are you
claim.
over talking to me? Why are you scared? Let me talk, right? You just claimed that atheists don't have a foundation of morality. I asked you to defend it. And then you said, you can't get an offer from an is. What the heck?
That's the argument. That's
where are you going to
correct.
get from
It's
that
called an
premise,
argument.
right? You can't
Who isn't this entertaining to? Who looks at this and goes, "This is so much fun"?
derive
It's an
that.
argument. It's not a premise. It goes back to David Hume. You just didn't know that.
Okay, can we get I think,
What's the-
guys, I
I'm
think
sorry
we're moving
to
slightly
interrupt.
off topic. Let's bring it back to Pride Month. I want to
The fuck did I end up back here after I died? What the fuck?
play something which has had a lot of people talking on social media. This is Sesame Street, where all the puppets
What the fuck? Why is this news?
holding hands, making up the pride
Cool.
flag. And they say, on our street, everyone is welcome. Together, let's build a world where every person and family feels loved and respected for who they are. Happy Pride Month. I guess
It sounds like a nice message. Who could be triggered by this? If you think it's gay and cringe, just don't interact with it. But like, what's the issue with that message?
I would say, Parker, again, the problem with this is it's this kind of enforced virtue signaling.
Hasn't that always been what the Sesame Streets have been about? Is like teaching you to respect other people that aren't like you? How is that forced? Like, I understand virtue signaling happens, but you don't get to just say everything's virtue signaling just because you think it's weird. What the fuck?
It reminds me, in a way, for very different reasons, the day in the George Floyd fallout when everyone had to do a black square on their Instagram.
Yeah, that was virtue signaling for sure. This is just a bunch of fucking puppets that are gay, by the way. Those, you ever look at these puppets? They're super gay. Saying, "Hey, you should love everybody. Happy Pride." You're just like, this is a fucking problem. What is wrong with you?
Or somehow they were racist. And I refused, and everyone called me a
Wow.
racist. I went,
You're such
why
a
does
big
putting a
hype,
black
Piers.
square on my Instagram make any difference to anything? Again, with this, if you don't go along with the Pride Month stuff, then somehow you must be homophobic, is the kind of way this all seems to work. And I don't like that. I don't understand why we have to have any more these enforced things, where everywhere you go for a whole month, everything's Pride. Why?
It's not really that enforced. You're even literally sitting here telling us that like nobody's even embracing it anymore. Maybe I said that and he'd say, "Yeah, nobody really gives a shit." So, what the hell are you talking about?
Why can't you everyone just get on with their lives?
Okay.
It's not Studies show that strength training burns more fat than cardio alone and is critical for maintaining muscle mass and bone density as we age.
Just tell me the supplements so I can move past this.
Jacked Up Fitness has the perfect tool. The Jacked Up Power Rack Pro is the ultimate all-in-one home gym system for a full body workout. And you
This is okay.
can do it in your spare room or garage. I'm delighted to say I now have one myself. So if you're new to strength training, there is a whole library of full body video workouts. You just
Gotta love the Smith machine, baby.
press play and you follow along. The top
All right, great. Buy this piece of dog shit. I would recommend against it though, but you could save 10% with promo code Piers at getjacked.com.
that's getjackedup.com.
Sorry, getjackedoff.com.
Yeah, so like a way that I would respond to this is by saying that because of the bigotry and dehumanization that exists in our society, it's important to have these things for acceptance to decrease the level of bullying that exists in our society.
I don't think that these are arguments that are ever going to resonate with people. Hey, look, a bunch of fucking gay Muppets are holding hands together. Isn't that gay? Like, yeah, that's pretty gay. What's their message? Oh, everybody should be loved and family should be respected. Cool. Like, who cares? That's what you need to, this is the thing. When it comes to conservative strategy, like these guys here, Mr. Grape and Mr. Pickle, I guess we'll call them. They don't really give a shit about anything that they're saying. And so when we're talking about this whole like Pride Month, Muppets holding hands, gay pride, nice little message that Piers says, and understand they don't care. And neither does any of their audience. So instead of being like, well, here's the reason why gay people are oppressed, don't hear about that. Just say like, who gives a fuck if it's kind of gay? It's a nice message. It's fucking Sesame Street. It's always been gay and cringe. Have you looked at the puppets? Don't engage with them in like an actual argument because they're just going to turn around and start trolling and they're going to be like, actually, you're really gay. They're going to just start calling these two gay. Like that's their whole argument. That's all they're going to do. These are the puppets here. Which one of these looks straight? This one maybe. Well, he's a conservative closeted homosexual that goes to like gay bars on the weekends when he says that he's working late and he gets his fucking dick sucked by this Oscar the Grouch garbage can guy. Totally gay. A big green thing. By the way, apparently canonically he's actually orange, but that's a different story. Grover, that guy's gay. This is definitely a drag queen. These two are in a legitimate fucking confirmed homosexual relationship. This guy, I don't know, maybe Jewish, but also me too. This guy with this hair, come on, give me a break. And this guy's actually this guy, unironically, no offense, looks like a child molester. Sorry. Cookie Monster, probably like demisexual. I don't even really know what that is. He just likes eating cookies. And then this guy totally like he's a power, like you could tell that like he's a little scrawny guy, but he's totally tops, all puppets are gay. All these things are gay. You're sitting here talking about, oh, is it weird? Why are they promoting homosexuality? They're gay. It's always been gay, dude. Everything's always been gay.
Targeted towards the LGBTQ plus community. Now, no one's saying that you have to go to Pride, Piers. No one's saying that you have to involve yourself with Pride. When I go outside, I live in Los Angeles. I don't see rainbow flags everywhere. So I'm confused what you're talking
in Los
about.
Angeles, you must be joking, but you can barely move in Los Angeles. I've got a house in.
We got to talk more about how the new gay threat. If I was allowed to say the F slur, that's what I would say, and it's called MAGA. All right, like you're telling me that I can't deal with all these fucking pickup trucks that are full of MAGA flags saying like just being so super gay. Just like literally just littered with stickers all over. They got MAGA stores all over the place now. Yeah, that's gay. Wearing the hat, that's gay. I'm sick of that. I see more obnoxious Trump shit all over where I live than fucking. I'd rather see guys plowing each other in the asshole than see another fucking loser with a fucking just a MAGA loser. Like that's gay. Give me a fucking break.
In Beverly Hills, you might as well put a pride flag over the whole place.
Oh, really? Do you go there a lot, Piers?
I'm sorry. I've been to those areas. Pride flags aren't everywhere. And when you live in Beverly Hills, right, that's specifically like not even right next to downtown. So that's where most of the rainbow flags would be.
But here's my point. Here's my serious point to you. If you actually want to do something constructive, for say the trans community, for example, wandering around with LGBTQ plus, and no one can ever remember now how many letters and digits there are on these.
You just said it.
It gets
True.
Bigger and bigger. And I've seen one with 2 in it and all sorts of stuff, a 2-spirit, whatever. It's all.
That's crazy, man. Okay.
All it is IA plus.
I know, but then there's 2 and everything. It gets ridiculous, right? And this is the problem with these things. It's never ending. It's like there were 2 genders, then there were 10, then there were 80, then there were 100. All of it's nonsense.
What? Okay. I just, what's the argument here though? So like, hey, I respect gay people, but there's just too many letters in the LGBTQ shit. And so instead of just saying that's cringe, I gotta just say all of it's cringe. Like, okay. I mean, that's a really nice adult perspective of you.
To me.
was
However,
more this than that,
if you
but-
want to think that, it's a free world. Here's my point. If you actually want to make a constructive difference to, say, the trans community and trans rights and protect trans people,
yeah.
then the absolute worst way to go about that is the way that the trans lobby has tried to do it, by eroding women's rights in things like women's sport. That has exposed.
Sure. Trans women shouldn't compete in cis women's sports. Okay. Again, it's just like, it's a cultural argument. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter as much as they try to give it more weight than it actually deserves. Yeah.
So many trans people to mockery, abuse, and the rest of it.
Okay. Gotcha. It's their fault. It's not the people mocking them. It's their fault. Okay, gotcha.
And I would say that
Like, I feel bad for the women who get beat out by trans women, and I don't think these trans women are trying to have an unfair advantage. I think they're just trying to live their lives. But like, you don't get to grasp onto like a nth of a percent argument and decide that you're going to fucking railroad all trans people over it.
rather than spending all this time and effort and money on flags in Pride Month, what about just actually getting people together to understand that eroding women's rights is the worst possible thing to promote trans rights? Would you accept that?
Okay, so then if we were going to be talking about eroding women's rights, we'd have to talk about people that, someone like Andrew Wilson supports, like Donald Trump, who was held civilly liable of sexually abusing women, who bragged about
Well, hang on,
walking in the
let's
changing
stick
rooms.
to my
Can I
question.
make
Don't
this?
bring Trump into it.
I promise you I'm making a point relative to this.
All right.
He bragged
Smoky
about
man
walking
bad.
into
Smoky man bad. Smoky man
bragged-
bad.
You're very childish. He bragged about
All
walking
you
into the
can
changing
do
rooms.
is focus on me. You can't even answer to his question, dude. He's just.
I'm
but
promising
Andrew
I'm
Wilson
answering right now.
bad.
You're cutting me off.
But Smoky man bad.
This guy's so. I don't know why he's so afraid of the point that Dean Parker's about to make. This is actually so weird.
You're cutting me off. I'm trying to answer it right now. Respectfully, I'm trying to answer it right now, but you're not allowing me to.
Okay, well, answer without distracting into Trump and stuff. Just answer the question.
Well, I'm giving an explanation, right? So he bragged about walking into the changing rooms of girls in Miss USA because he quote unquote owns the place to inspect them.
Oh,
without
forget
consent.
Trump. Forget Trump.
Well, you can't really forget Trump, right? Because that's kind of like part of the point. It's the same people who love Trump so much, despite the fact that he's a sexual deviant, that pressured Romania to let Andrew Tate, off of his stay-at-home order, and he invited Conor McGregor, an actual rapist, to speak at the White House. I mean, you guys don't really care about women's rights when you're parading rape around everybody.
I promise you I'm making a point here. Would you like me
You
to
have to get
finish,
to the
please?
point a bit quicker. Come on.
I promise you I am. I've had 15 seconds. Okay, so specifically, right, people like Andrew Wilson do not call that type of stuff out when it's explicitly harmful towards women's
You're
rights.
playing
Right,
whataboutery. I'm
being-
interested in whataboutery.
trans-
It's not really whataboutism. It's just trying to be morally consistent.
Because I haven't done
trans-
that.
I'm
bad.
explaining
So,
out
as somebody
trans-
like me, talk
trans-
to me,
trans
Parker,
people-
talk to me, right? As somebody who has always supported,
I was going to refer to
as
trans
someone
people.
who's
You're not
always
allowing me to
supported
speak,
trans
Piers.
rights, trans
This is
people's
incredibly
rights.
disingenuous.
They could just let him finish his like point, and it would have been done with. They just keep fucking trying to get him off track.
Anyways,
Well, I have always supported trans people's rights to fairness, equality, and safety.
Dude, it's one of the biggest topics you have on your show when you have nothing better to talk about as trans people and how they're bad in some way, shape, or form.
Right to the point that it began to erode into women's
Like, it's
rights.
nice that you say, hey, I think trans people can exist, but then every time you talk about trans people, it's always negative. So it's like always like, oh, I hate pronouns. Oh, they shouldn't play sports. Oh, this, that, which would all be fine if you also spoke in a positive capacity for some other aspects of trans people, but he doesn't do that. So he's like he's a fence sitter. He pretends that he's like okay with trans people existing, but he really doesn't like them, and that's why every time he talks about trans topics, it's always negative. That's the whole point. And the point is to try to make you seem like all trans shit is ridiculous. That's the whole fucking point.
rights to the same thing. And that's my point to you.
That's my
Why
point, yeah.
waste all this time, effort, and money on virtue signaling for Pride Month
Well, nobody's really wasting money. It's a party now, so
when in fact there's a real problem going on which remains unresolved because
Crazy.
too many people on the left and too many young people go along with this absolute farce of trans athletes in women's
I
sport,
love farts.
which exposes trans people around the world to extra mockery and abuse.
Okay.
But you'll
you're saying
condemn the
we're
mockery.
What do you think is worse for trans people? Trans women in sports? Which, like, yeah, it does have a negative. It does allow. It does give conservatives like an argument to hate trans people, or just people hating trans people because for the virtue of their existence. Like most people who are really into the whole trans women shouldn't play in sports are just transphobic. Like they're right. Trans women probably shouldn't play in sports with cisgender women, but they don't care about that. They just hate trans people. It's like a broken clock, right? Twice a day. That's all it is.
You said
From people like Jay Dyer, and these
All
are
he
the
has is
mockers.
ad hominem.
You condemn that.
That's
Well,
all
I'm
he
saying
has.
you're going to get the mockery when there is something so obviously grotesquely unfair.
can I respond?
Parker, you
to
got
this?
your hand up very politely, so answer me without
Yeah,
mentioning
so,
Donald Trump or Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, okay. So I can't mention the person on the panel, but specifically
No.
in terms of trans people are not specifically going to be harmful towards women in these particular spaces, given that they've met the conditions of multiple years of HRT.
Have you?
It doesn't matter. There's still going to be like a general unfair advantage for sure. Like if you're going to go through a male puberty, you're going to end up having an advantage in sports. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how many hormones that you go through. You're not going to like lose some of your advantages. Like I don't know what to tell you. It just kind of is how it is. It's silly to pretend otherwise, you know. It's just ridiculous, especially since people are going through like their formative years. They're going through their formative years, probably playing sports, because like the best athletes, the professional athletes, they literally go through like their puberty, developing, you know, as they play sports. It doesn't just go away. It's silly.
Okay, have you been? Okay, sorry. Hang on.
Let me finish.
Hang on, guys.
No, Parker, you can't make it.
Parker,
literally, as you've said this today, it's been revealed.
I'm finishing, Piers.
Today,
Piers, I'm trying to
wait
explain.
a minute.
I'm trying to explain, Piers.
You talked about safety.
This is disingenuous.
Literally today, the Algerian gold medal winner in the Paris
haven't been able to
Olympics,
speak.
women's boxing, has been
Piers, can I
revealed
speak?
to be a man who should never have been competing.
Piers, can I speak?
That's
Piers,
why.
You know how people feel when they're on your panels and you mute
Can
them,
I speak
Parker?
without interruption, please?
All right, answer.
Seems like Andrew just talks over people. So
I've been incredibly nice on this panel. I would love to be able to speak without interruption. Is that okay, Piers?
guys.
Yes, but answer my question.
Yeah, I was trying to answer the question. You cut me off.
Oh,
So
no,
specifically, I don't think
that's
trans people
immediate.
in these spaces would be harmful after multiple years of HRT and or not going through a male puberty, as I've seen no good evidence from any scientific studies that indicate that there would be an unfair biological advantage
Imam
at that
Khalif,
point.
what are you
Not to say-
talking about, man?
Listen. I'm still explaining.
all the studies that they look at is generally it's like comparing like non-top tier professional trans women to top tier professional cis women, or like, hey, what's the effects on the average person who goes onto HRT, not accounting for somebody who is in sports, which is a completely different atmosphere. It's a much more competitive atmosphere. So it's a very different thing. There's a really good video from like More Plates, More Dates that talks about this. But
Parker, you're
Listen,
talking
I'm not-
complete gibberish,
Can
man.
I please finish?
Imam Khalif has literally just been exposed as a
well, no, listen to his argument. He's just that it's not going to be conclusive enough.
biological male who won Olympic gold in women's boxing and beat up an Italian boxer, woman, so badly she quit in 43 seconds and said she thought she was going
Was
to
that person a trans woman though? I thought it came out that they weren't. I am not educated enough on it.
die in the ring. So the whole argument you just put forward is literally disproved by a news story today. That's the point I was making to you. Of
Piers,
course
have
it's
they got-
dangerous.
Piers,
When you allow
Piers, have they-
biological men to get in a boxing ring and beat up women, it is dangerous.
Piers, has that person been through multiple years of HRT?
I don't know. I don't care.
Then they haven't
That
met my set
person
of
is a
criteria.
man.
So how is that a critique of my worldview if they haven't
arbitrary.
met the
So
set of
this
criteria that I
criteria,
mentioned?
everything
Can
from
I
the
please finish?
position
Can I
is
please mention? Can I please mention? Right. So again, let me please finish. Right. I am saying if they meet the set of criteria, then they can play, and there's nothing unfair biologically
Yes, there
speaking that you
is,
can
though. This is
identify
where you're so
scientifically
deluded.
speaking.
You're
No,
so
no, this is
deluded
just you.
because
No,
even
no,
if you
no,
have
Piers,
all the
Piers,
if you
Piers,
have
let me
all the
respond.
treatment,
Let me
you
respond,
still
Piers.
retain
You
the
have an
body
alpha,
mass,
Piers,
the
actually, let me
muscle
respond.
mass, the lung capacity. You retain all the biological advantages of being born
Not after
a
multiple
man.
years of HRT. Not
Yes,
after
you
multiple
do.
years of HRT.
Yes, you
Wait,
do.
you want to bet, Piers? Piers, put money on it. You said you retain every biological advantage.
Muscle
given that you
mass,
have gone through multiple years
lung
of HRT.
He
capacity.
didn't say every. He just says you maintain some of it. Yeah, you do.
You don't think muscle
You
mass
want to
in
bet
one
your
capacity goes
entire
down?
savings of your entire life
Let's
that
bet
I'm right and you're wrong?
Piers, let's bet $1,000 right now that there are lower biological advantages that would specifically exist given that someone goes through multiple years of HRT, right, relative to estrogen.
Lower biological advantages? They're not quite as high when you go on HRT. Okay. Also, how do you make sure somebody consistently stays on HRT when the only test you could do is like, hey, is there testosterone, under a certain amount? You can't. Okay. So, okay.
Missing my point.
Bet that.
which is-
Take that bet.
No, you're
Take that
missing
bet.
my. No, you're missing my point.
Are you going to accept the bet?
$1,000 bet. Just a $1,000 bet to Piers Morgan. Like, it's not even like the stakes aren't even high. This guy's like a million. Like, I'll do $1,000 bet for you.
Yes or no?
I fucking hate all these people so much. Dude, honestly, I fucking hate debate bros so much. I fucking hate them so much. They just don't have conversations. It's just such a stupid fucking... It's just such a stupid fucking thing. You watch these people and it's just such a performance. Like, unironically, shit like this, the same thing with like Jubilee. It's all a performance piece. Nothing is productive. These are never productive conversations. They don't stir or press us into the right direction. We don't have a conservative or multiple conservatives and multiple progressives sitting down and having like a real conversation about like, hey, why do you feel this way about this thing? It's not about that. It's all about a bunch of people on here looking for clippable moments. That's it. All of them, even Piers Morgan, they're all looking for TikTok clippable moments to go on there, and so that we could all be like, oh, who's on the right side? Who's on the wrong side? Who's on this side? That's all it is. There's nothing productive here. This is the crossfire of our fucking age. This has always been the crossfire of our fucking age. It's never it's never productive, dude. It's always fucking terrible. It's so fucking it just bothers the shit out of me.
You can have all the HRT treatment you like.
Piers.
You can have all the testosterone, but hang on.
Accept it.
Let me answer.
$1,000.
So, let me answer. I'll tell you the bet I'll make. If you want to bet the $1,000, that if you go through testosterone reduction treatment and the rest of it, that you come out of it with a reduced muscle mass or lung capacity or the other things that give men an advantage, take that bet for me.
Yeah. So I will bet after multiple years of HRT specifically relating to estrogen, right, there is a reduction in muscle mass. You want to take.
That's not even the claim Piers made. He didn't even make the claim that there's reduction in muscle mass. He made the claim that you still maintain some of the biological advantages. I'm talking about it's all debate.
That bet, Piers?
It's bullshit. Andrew Wilson.
It's not bullshit. He's right. We're not talking about whether you maintain it all. We're talking about whether you maintain enough to have an unfair advantage.
Okay, let's take that bet. You
Andrew
want to take
Wilson.
it, yes or no?
Andrew Wilson.
Yes or no? Do you want to take the bet?
I'm letting Andrew respond to you.
Yeah. So when you're talking specifically about the whole LGBTQ thing has backfired greatly.
Not really, dude.
And it's because this whole thing, Pride is astroturfed. It's literally astroturfed.
You just keep saying that there's like money going into it, so nobody should take it seriously. Okay.
You just showed us how. I mean, you have a massive corporation putting out propaganda.
He did just make the claim. I don't think that he made that claim in the purest form. I'm pretty sure his point was that like you just I'm pretty sure that the point was the only point he was trying to make was that like you maintain some of it, or either way, like it doesn't matter if you have it doesn't. That was the exact. You maintain some of the biological advantages. If you go through a male puberty, you're going to maintain that shit. Like you're still going to maintain parts of it. So I don't know. Maybe he made that absurd claim that you would maintain all of it, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't trying to make that claim. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you maintain some of your advantages when you go through fucking male puberty. So,
for a children's TV show. Showing, a bunch of hands in a rainbow, this and that.
They don't even kids don't even know what it is. You just all these kids see is they see a bunch of gay puppets holding each other's hands saying, hey, you should all like each other regardless of where you're from. They don't instantly go to gay stuff. So unless you educate your kid on gay people, that's not going to matter. It's not going to mean anything. They don't know what it is. So it doesn't actually do anything because he's trying to make this argument that it's going to like psyop kids or something.
It's very clear that this is backfiring. And by the way, the trans movement set the gay rights movement back 20 years or more. You can't convince us, Parker, even
not really. There's like low IQ fucking idiots will set it back.
if you're attracted to men who you call women, that the rest of us need to call them women or men. Like they either are or they aren't.
Is this not changing the topic?
You have been trying to convince people forever that there's no way to distinguish these things. It's like, look, the average normal person, they can tell that these guys who go out and go, hey, how you doing? My name is Chuck, with long hair are clearly not women.
Is that Brittany Griner he's speaking?
Parker, like we know this. And so what happens is you guys gaslight everybody and try to pretend that, hey, you just can't really know. It's too vague. It's, we can't really get to the meat and potatoes here. It's like, we do know.
This is why you should just concede the fucking sports argument because it doesn't matter. It's not an actual argument that needs to be had about trans people, like in any meaningful capacity. Like you don't need to defend trans women in sports. So it doesn't matter.
Parker, and you have not been able to successfully, with your TikTok brain, convince people that men can be women and women can be men. You haven't done that. And that's one of the reasons that you see Pride falling behind.
Yeah, that's true. The trans movement sent the gay rights movement back in time when the trans people are part of the reason why the gay movement made so much progress. I mean, that is true. I'm pretty sure like Stonewall, that fucking... Who the fuck was it? What was the name of the person in Stonewall? But it's like people think that they might have actually been a trans woman that just couldn't go. No, it wasn't within like the Overton window of LGBTQ shit, right? Who's that person? Marsha P. Johnson. They were, it's theorized that they were like a trans woman, so...
Because of all of this gaslighting, people are rejecting it.
Crazy, bro.
Tax day has passed, but for millions of Americans, that's where the trouble begins.
All right, just what's your plug, dude? TaxNetworkUSA.com. Call 1-800-958-1000. Blah, 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 blah. This is Piers Morgan's thing. Okay, you can get some tax stuff if you're Tax Network USA, guys. If you really need your taxes done, go to these guys.
Let's move on to another subject.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
Well, very quickly, yeah.
Yeah, so one, I'm not saying that men can be women. We're making the claim that trans women are women and trans men are men, right? That's a separate claim from the original claim about pride. I do want to address the claim specifically about pride and how we're addressing like
Oh,
how
it wasn't theorized. She was a trans woman. Oh, okay. All right, stop streaming at me, dude. Stop. You're making me upset.
people are negatively impacted. And as a society, we want to address this in terms of this so that we can reduce the likelihood of people being harmed or negatively impacted or not accepted in these communities. That's the point of pride in these conditions.
That's true. If their name was Marsha, they were. Yeah, that makes sense. My bad, guys. Sorry.
Right? Just because it is the case that issues have existed to a greater extent in the past doesn't mean that we don't have an issue to address today, right? In terms of pride, right? Like addressing that we should have acceptance of gay people. We should have acceptance of people in the LGBTQ plus community. So
Yeah,
isn't it
I-
counterintuitive though, Parker, to
I'd like to
say
add one
like
thing. I would like to add one thing.
clearly it's backfiring. Like it seems like it's counterintuitive. If you push the
Well, there's a
propaganda
mistake that
that
you're
I
hard,
think it's backfiring.
This is propaganda. Just the fact that he labels all of it as propaganda is silly.
Yeah,
I want to
backfiring.
Let me
highlight.
talk about it. It's like not even worth listening to these people. He's not having a serious argument whatsoever. He just hates trans people. He knows the optics like bully argument to use to be just fucking obnoxious and to get dumb fucks to agree with him.
Danny.
Where's your
Let
Pride
Let me
Month
bring
thing?
in
Where is
Danny.
it?
Let Danny have a say.
Yeah, right. I want to highlight that what the corporations do, right? I might agree with you. Some of them sell out for pride, right? They, it's marketable. I might agree with you, but pride is way more than just what the corporations do. It's how people, identify with their sexuality and, kind of anti-bullying agenda. That's very important. It's central to pride. Whatever the corporations do, if they sell out, they sell out. But you can still have pride, whatever they do.
Yeah, you can have pride,
Well,
but why do you have to have?
Danny, though,
Why do you have to have all the
like, it's not
commercialization behind
organic.
it?
I mean, that's because we live in a capitalist society. If you don't like that pride gets commercialized, then what are you, a communist? Like what? That's just everything gets capitalism hits everything. What?
It's not organic, Danny. This is not
Anti-bullying is inherently
organically. This is not organically. People
Hey guys, businesses jumped onto the fucking LGBTQ Pride Month. I guess Pride is fucking cringe now. I'm sorry. Every single one of you have a meltdown every single time. Like Bernie Sanders says, have some nice health care. I'm not talking about Piers because he lives in fucking England or whatever. These guys like Andrew, these two gay conservatives, they melt the fuck down about communism. But then like the criticism for Pride is that businesses, capitalism has invaded it. What? There's no consistency here.
coming together anymore to force this. This is a bunch of NGOs.
Andrew, if you were actually Christian, you would be in
in
support of pride. If you were actually Christian, you'd be in support of pride because you'd be
What?
okay
Oh,
with
yeah?
accepting people.
Is there a cardinal
Right,
sin
yeah,
called
that's what Jesus
pride?
said.
Is there a cardinal sin called
Wait,
pride?
it's not
Parker?
pride in a literal sense. It's pride specifically in
Yeah,
the sense
you
that
know,
Actually, a very good
literally,
point.
it's
Pride is
not
a
pride
sin.
against pride.
Why are you celebrating
I'm not-
sin?
it's not
Yeah,
pride
you're
in a literal
celebrating
sense.
sin. Literally, what are you talking
You're
about?
misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding. It's not pride in a literal sense. It's
Just ask him. Just say like, hey, do you think military pride is a sin? Oh no, I don't actually think that. Okay, we're good. We finished the argument there.
pride in the sense specifically where we're accepting people specifically for being gay, right? For
No,
being
but that's
trans.
not
And that's
Christian.
exactly
They're
what
proud of it.
But
Because
Christianity
they're
doesn't tell you to
proud
do
of
that.
it, right?
Christianity tells you to
Because
love
they're proud of it.
everyone and tells you to
It
accept
doesn't
people for
only
human
say
beings
that.
made
It
in the
also
image of
talks
God.
about
Gay
boundaries
people-
and limitations. You
But
have
gay
to have a
people and trans
basis
people-
for virtue
That's kind of
versus
funny
vice.
now.
Christianity is a virtue vice ethic, and your whole ethos is to defend your own personal vices because your
Crazy.
ethics are all purely subjective. You
Are
have
you
no
proud to be a
basis for
Christian,
rights
Jay?
other
Are you proud to
than
be a
what you
Christian?
say is the case.
Jay, are you proud to be a Christian?
Sure.
Oh, that's a sin.
That's an
Pride.
equivocation.
Oh,
I didn't make
get 'em.
the argument. I didn't make the
Wait, look,
argument. That's an
We're
equivocation.
not talking about the cardinal
What's
sin.
an
We're talking about
equivocation
the sense of
fallacy?
pride. We're talking about the sense of pride that matters, to your identity, who you are,
I
Christian.
said virtue
gay,
vice
straight.
ethic, and you use an argument from equivocation. It's two
Oh
different
my god, this is so fucking gay.
uses
No,
of
Sorry,
words.
this is so cringe. I gotta stop saying gay. All right, I'm sorry. I gotta stop using it as a pejorative. Just to be more sensitive. I'm sorry. But this is so stupid. This is such a fucking performance piece.
You're equivocating.
that's what
You brought up the
Piers-
cardinal sin.
No. Yes, you are. I didn't say that pride is
Jay,
the
Jay,
sin
Jay,
that is.
respect-
Jay.
Respectfully, wasn't that exactly what you guys were doing when I said that pride wasn't used in a literal sense, but then you guys equivocated and said that we were
I didn't make that argument. Andrew made that argument. I said you don't
So
have
Andrew
a
made a
basis
mistake.
for virtue
So
or
Andrew made a
vice.
mistake. So Andrew made a mistake.
I said you don't have a
right?
basis for virtue or
No,
vice.
we were basing this around the
Yeah.
idea that Parker said. What Parker said specifically here was, well, wait a second. If you're a Christian, you should be all about this. And it's like, no, not really. And you haven't really demonstrated how. Why, Parker? Why is it that we need to support homosexuality as Christians? Parker, tell us why.
well, I was
Here's my thing. Here's what I think. I am 100% willing to cancel Pride Month if we also cancel these debates, right? Like if we're going to cancel one gay thing, sorry, we got to cancel all gay things. Right? Cancel Pride Month, cancel debates, super gay, cancel like MAGA Americans that drive their car around with like 1,000 stickers and they wear the hat. That's fucking gay. You could vote conservative and say you like Trump, that's fine, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, don't put it in my face Practice that at the polls. Don't put that in my face. Cancel that. Cancel people on motorcycles. Get rid of the motorcyclists. Lifted trucks. That's also super gay. Get rid of. All right, get rid of making lasagnas for other men. That's a joke. Okay, it's an inside joke. Anyway, cancel Disney adults. Let's cancel that too. Especially if you have the gums. I can appreciate that. So let's just do it all. We want to cancel one gay thing. We got to cancel all the gay stuff. Boom. And I think that we could all be a nice, happy society. I think that would be good. I think that would be really good. I think that we could really have I think we could have a nice productive. We could have a nice productive. We could have a nice productive thing here. Okay. All right.
Saying that you should be loving of thy neighbor as you're referencing specifically people, right? Human beings, right? If you're referencing
Why
Why does
people,
that
human
mean we
beings-
have to support homosexuality? Why do we have to support homosexuality?
I'm saying that you have to be accepting of people who are homosexual.
Why
Because
do
you
we
are
need to
Christian.
support homosexuality, Parker?
Okay, we're not saying you need to support like engaging in gay intercourse. We're saying that you need to support people who are gay as they are people created in the
Why?
image of God.
Why do we need to support them? Why do we
People
need to
created
support
in
them
God.
in things that we consider sinful? You want us to support sin?
Wait,
Gil's
I'm
got
not
it.
saying
Wait,
that
by
you should
support, he just
necessarily
means-
support sin. I'm saying you're supporting the person who engages in sin the same way you're a sinner, and that you engage in sin that you should be
Yeah,
supported.
so when homosexuals come to the church and they reject homosexuality, they're no longer acting in that way. They are accepted.
They're not
in the church. What are you
rejected. They're not
talking about?
rejected. Wait, by
It's
the way,
an
nothing
action.
in the
It's
Bible
not an
says that
identity.
being.
So there's
This is
a
a
vice,
vice.
virtue
Exactly.
ethic that they're not understanding. It's not an identity. It's a vice.
Wait,
Well,
hold, so
well,
being,
What is it? What makes butt sex a vice? I don't understand. It feels good.
I want to bring
Being
the
gay is
prime
different
into it.
than
We're going to move
engaging
on to
in
the
intercourse.
last topic. All I would say is, look, I absolutely do not think homosexuality is a sin. I completely respect everyone's right to have any sexuality they like. I just don't see the point in spending a whole month allowing companies to virtue signal their way into making tons of money out of it. I just think it's the
Okay, so then you acknowledge that the problem is the companies, no? Like,
grasping commercialization of
Wait,
sexuality
wait,
that
you
I
just bring
find
the current-
so
Is your
objectionable.
issue just how long? Is it you just want a week or a day? Like, what do you? Is that the
If
issue?
you want to have
the
a
length?
pride day, fine. But why a month?
Oh, he's
Goes
on
on
Does it
and on
matter
and
if it's a
on.
month or a day?
Huh?
wait, couldn't
What does it matter if it's a month or
corporations?
a day?
Well, you
Well,
get,
if we're gonna have
if it's a day, it's a
necrophilia
day
month,
longer
can
than
we
I get
have
as a straight
necrophilia
guy. I mean, what?
hey guys, I respect gay stuff, but also, why isn't there a straight pride? Dude, stop! You're trolling. Gay people face more shit than straight people. Straight people don't need a day. Okay, every Kid Rock concert is fucking straight pride day. What are you talking about, though? Get the hell out of here.
What about me? Where am I? Where's my day?
You're just a troll. What are you? Are you fucking baby?
Are you bullied for being
necrophilia
straight?
We don't have the same
month, where's that
issue.
at?
Go to fucking who? If you really see, this is the problem. Pierce is being super hypocritical here, because if Pierce actually cared about straight pride, he would have been super angry that Hooters is getting taken down, and that's the biggest problem here. Oh, what about straight pride? What about Hooters going down? Nobody said a word. Hooters goes away. No one says a fucking word. All of a sudden, you care about straight pride? Okay, yeah, I believe that. You're being cringe. They need to fix Hooters. They need to bring Hooters back, and they need to fucking change this. They need to change the content strategy, the strategy of Hooters. Hey, what if we put girls into like Halloween outfits? That's what it looks like. Oh, fucking orange and white. Wow, that's so good. What if we put them inside of like? What if we made them all look like they're goths or something? Make them look emo or goth. Get some really tall bitches. Put them in stockings. What if we dress them like video game characters? Femboys. I don't know. By the way, we could do all of this in the same restaurant. You can have literal sections. You have a smoking section, non-smoking, femboy section, non-femboy section. You have the emo, you have the goth, you have the nurse section. You have the section where they spit on you and your food and beat you. Get some fucking legit dudes too. Actual legit men. Like regular guys, not femboys. Femboys, we could have a whole conversation philosophically about how femboys are actually women because they try harder than women to be feminine. There are so many different things here that you could do, but instead, we're gonna do Hooters. Oh, what are you gonna do? Oh, we're not even gonna show tits. Okay, I'm even gonna show cleavage. Wow, that's incredible. Now, why can't I go to a restaurant though and paint and paint a girl's toes? You know what I mean? Okay. Why is it not on the menu that I can paint the girl's toes? And why is it not on the menu whether I get to choose if it's clean or not? Answer the question. You can't answer the question. Because you're a hypocrite, Pierce.
Hey,
I
hold
get
on,
bullied
hold on,
all the time.
Piers.
I've been bullied on social
Not for
media
being
all
straight.
day.
Not for being
Bullied.
straight. No.
All right, let's move on.
That's true. You're not going to get bullied for being straight on social media, but
I want to play a clip from Joe Rogan. I'm
we've
going to start
seen-
with you, Jay, on this. This is Joe Rogan
fuck me, dude.
talking about the R word.
Ooh, the R
It's one of these
word.
retarded shows where they're
Okay.
screaming. There's the word again. We brought it.
Yeah.
We were just talking about
You
that.
did it early.
The word retarded is back, and it's one of the great culture victories
We're back, baby.
that I think is spurred on probably by podcasts.
Now, Jay,
I mean, here's my thing with the R slur, bro. It's like if you're like a jokester podcaster, like do your thing. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of the word. My wife works with people in the IDD community. That's intellectual and developmental disabilities, right? They don't like the word. It upsets them. You know, when they go out, sometimes they go to the mall or something. Sometimes people will call them the R slur. It upsets them. You know what I mean? It's just disrespectful. I try not to be too disrespectful unless you annoy me. Which sometimes they flap a little bit, but I still wouldn't use the word. So I try to be sensitive to that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's a slur, bro. It's similar. Here's my thing: is a lot of these people, like, I'm not talking about like your TikTok autism. That it's like, oh, guys, I'm autistic. I have to pee my pants, or something stupid. Like everybody on TikTok is pretending to have disabilities. To be honest with you, like real world shit. Like some of these people, like they're not even deemed consenting. They can't even get their dick sucked, and it's like, if you can't even get your penis sucked because you were deemed non-consenting, which in some instances might make sense. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they'll do a test where they'll be like, hey, if someone buys you a hamburger, you have to have sex with them. They're like, yeah, I do. Maybe you shouldn't be deemed consenting. But they can't even get their penis sucked. And all I have to do is not say the R slur. I can do that sacrifice. I'd rather be able to get my penis sucked than use the R slur. So that's how I look at it. Personally, not a big fan of using the word. You know what I mean? That's just how I see it. That's just how I see it. Okay. So, you guys choose your thing. You do you, but I try to be a little sensitive, especially in my older age. I'm an older guy. I try to be a little bit sensitive to these. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking there. That's how I look at it, though, dude. But it is truly a struggle, bro. Imagine you couldn't fucking have sex because you're deemed non-consenting. That's a fucking struggle.
is it a great
That's a
moment,
struggle
a
as
great
fuck.
cultural victory that the R word is back, which obviously is short for it's retarded. It's meant.
Sorry, I just maybe laughed the way he said it in context. He sounded like slightly uncomfortable. Okay.
Mentally retarded. It's for people who are mentally impaired. It was used in a derogatory way against people who are mentally impaired.
Yeah, there's a time where people with disabilities were institutionalized, and so they were subjected to rape and abuse. It's pretty fucked up. So that's why I try not to use it too.
Why would that be a cultural victory to bring that back?
Well, I'm a big fan of the R word because I myself act retarded all the time, and I'm
Ooh,
proud of it.
got-o.
In fact, I would actually probably get retarded.
Here's my thing: just say it in private. Public, try to be respectful. Like I say some slurs sometimes in private, not in public. Of course, I would never do that. I'm sensitive, but not only I am sensitive, but I also play video games, and I'm not good at them. And so when it gets hard, so do my R's. And I'm not trying to say that that's okay, but like at least I'm staying inside with it. I'm staying inside with it. Just stay inside with your R's. Okay? Whether it's at the beginning or the end of the word. And the F's. And the T's. And the K's. And the S's. And the W's. The D's. There's a lot of them. I'm an old guy. I know a lot of the words. Just keep them inside. Cultural progress. If a tree falls in the woods, do you hear it? No one's around, do you hear it? No. If I'm inside playing a video game and no one, I got a little upset. Does anybody hear it? If I'm in the car, does anybody hear it? My wife does, and she yells at me. I'm just saying, if you're alone, does it really happen? Is it really happening if you're alone? You know what I mean?
Tattooed across my back because I think it is a cultural.
Yeah, I fucking quit Bloodborne because I wanted to say slurs, okay? That's why I quit it, okay? Shut the fuck up. That's why we're playing this game. Stop. I don't even know what the hell is happening here, but it's easier.
victory. I'd love to be able to say what's on my mind. I think, these guys are retarded as an example.
Whoa!
So we have panelists that are retarded. So
Okay.
yeah, I love the R word. I'm rated R totally.
Hello.
And I think that it's a freeing thing. It's a way to express
True.
the way we express things in the 80s and the 90s without problem. Like, you can go watch Bill Murray comedy movies and they're great because
Yeah, but people
you have
used
the
to. Yeah,
freedom
but
of
hang on.
speech.
People used to use the N word 30, 40
Used to. I'm just kidding.
years ago, right? But then
Yeah,
that
I
was,
champion all the comedians
but that
still use
became
the
something that was taboo in
Champions, everybody uses the N word. That's crazy.
society because it was deemed to be very offensive to black people. The R
Yeah, but
word,
I don't think it
the
is.
use,
What the hell is happening with the Parker right now?
30, 40 years ago, right? But then
Yeah,
that
I
was,
champion all the comedians
but that
still use
became
the
something that was taboo in society because it was deemed to be very offensive to black people. The R
Yeah, but I
word,
don't think it
the
is.
use of the R
So,
word is
not
deemed to be
wrong.
very offensive to people who are genuinely.
What the fuck is Parker doing here? Like, what this weird freak on the right talking about the N word, the R slur is doing is annoying and like it's cringe and he's just baiting for attention. What the fuck is he doing though? What is this face he's making? Look at this guy. Why are you pretending you're so offended about these words? Stop overreacting. Just chill out. You don't have to freak out about it. You know what I mean? Like, chill out.
Impaired, and they don't like
He's
it.
making a soy face, like he's like freaking out over there.
Yeah,
But,
True.
I'm sorry, you just said it's
but there's
justified
a
for
difference
white people
between
to say the
taboo
N-word.
and what's wrong, morally wrong. I don't
Same.
equate the two.
All right,
Taboos are not
Parker,
equated
your
to morally
response.
wrong.
So here's my question. Do you think that Jesus would say the N-word, and do you think Jesus would say the R slur?
Jesus does say
Jesus would be a dirty communist. I'm coming.
jokes and slurs in the Gospels. Yes, he talks
Does he-
about
Yeah.
So Jesus
he
was
did,
a-
he did hang out with fucking hookers, so that's pretty cool.
the R slur in
the
the N-
equivalent.
I think that Jesus was the first femboy, honestly. Because if you look at him, he's wearing long hair, and he also has he wears a dress and fucking sandals. Let's be real, sandals is fucking gay. Sorry, that's not bad though. Sandals is very feminine. You don't wear sandals. All right, you're not allowed to. So
in his day.
So
Yeah, he
Jesus
calls
would
people
say the
dogs.
N-word and the R slur.
He
That's
calls
not the
people
same thing as
dogs
the N-word and
in
the R
reference
slur.
to you guys' advice.
Parker, do people in your friendship group ever use the R word?
No, never.
no, the people don't. They just listen to me when I'm fucking so drunk. Oh, that's crazy.
It's just a taboo word.
Yes, I think it's incredibly wrong to use. You shouldn't use it.
People in
And
your friend
honestly, the
group
fact
use
that-
the N-word.
Can I
But,
please?
but,
can I please
and out of
respond?
interest, Parker, what
That's actually funny because Dean used to use the N-word all the time. It's fucking crazy.
is your rationale personally for not using it?
I think it's incredibly harmful. In the same way that we don't use other sorts of slurs because they're harmful,
Okay.
I think that we
If your
shouldn't use this word
arguments
because it's harmful.
Hurt my feelings. Should you not argue?
So,
What?
no, specifically, we're saying it meets a threshold of harm, right?
Whose
because the
threshold?
R slur and the
Whose threshold
my
is
threshold, my
Your
threshold.
So
threshold
it's
is arbitrary.
subjective. That's a subjective
we're
argument. Thank you.
we're
So it's
ta-
only your
we're
personal
ta-
subjective taste.
We're obviously we're
If
talking
it's your
about under
personal
my.
subjective
Can I
taste,
please
then it can
finish?
also
Can I
be
please
mine.
finish?
Okay,
So
well
that's
then
why I
Parker,
said
it
argument
doesn't
argument.
reach our
It's a bad
threshold,
argument.
Parker.
All right,
It
Andrew,
doesn't reach our
That's fine. That
threshold,
would be.
Parker.
I understand, Andrew. That would be your perspective on the matter. But given my
I mean, like, honestly, if you're like a Christian, wouldn't you want to be sensitive to people with disabilities? Because, and the reason I say that, like, is because your Bible says that you should love thy neighbor, but then also, I've never met a person with Down syndrome that didn't love WWE. Oh, fuck, I fucked the joke up. Fuck, I was gonna say also it's fucked up against the WWE, which is like super religious. I was gonna talk about Down syndrome, which the joke is gone. I don't even know where I was gonna go with that joke. That was fucking terrible, dude. We're having a bad day today. Sorry, guys. That was just not fucking. We were not landing on it there, dude.
perspective, I would say that meets my threshold. Are you saying it's okay to use the N word,
And
Andrew?
it's subjective, and it doesn't work as an argument.
Wait,
Andrew,
why
is it
do you
okay
think
to-
people that
Andrew,
wait,
Andrew,
ask me,
hold
why
on,
do
hold
you think
Yeah. Parker.
Parker.
Is it ever okay to use the word retard?
No.
I mean, probably shouldn't use it. No.
Is it okay for you to use the N word?
Is it even okay to use the word retard to reference the word retard?
I mean, you can, but I mean, I personally try not to. I just say the R slur because a lot of people who do that are just trying to find an excuse to say it. You know what I mean? So I try not to do that. Same thing with the N word.
I think it's wrong to use it in general. Can you please use?
Can you
please-
answer-
August, cut the joke out, by the way. This guy in the chat says don't do it, dude. Now.
My
Tell me, answer
question,
my
and I'll
question.
answer yours, I promise.
I said it's
Is
wrong.
it okay
I said
to
it's wrong.
refer to the word
No.
retard if you're explaining the word retard?
Sure, if you want. I mean, this doesn't really matter though. This isn't like a real argument. Andrew doesn't care. Like he just likes the word, and he's just looking for an excuse for you to say like, yeah, you could use the word. The common answer is like, I don't really care. Like, okay, like you do whatever you feel like you need to do. I personally am just not gonna do that. I think a lot of the way that you can communicate can work really well if you don't try to like press your morals onto other people. Like, hey, do you like the R slur? I personally don't like it. I don't think anyone should really use it, but like, this is why I don't like to use it. You do whatever you're gonna do. I'm not really making a moral prescription onto you. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm just giving you my moral prescription as for why I don't like to use the word. And this way it doesn't come off as like, over commanding, I guess, or something, whatever. You know what I mean? That's probably the best way. I would be like, I personally wouldn't, but you do whatever you want. Like, whatever. I don't really care, you know?
Say R slurs.
So you can't. Okay, so you can't even use. So just the word itself. Okay, so here's the thing that's so funny about this, right? It's like
Superstition.
ultimately when we say
Am I able to ask a question yet?
retarded, yeah. So I wouldn't use
That's
the N word.
fucking
Here's
weird.
why. When I say that, if somebody says the N word, what ends up ultimately happening, there's not really too much in the way of equivocation there. Retard is not actually referring to retarded people, though. Basically, ever. Nobody ever says it, Parker, to refer to somebody who's actually retarded.
So then could you just say the N word to a white person? Like, I don't. This is just a dumb argument. I don't know what you're talking about. So okay, cool.
It doesn't change it.
99%
Wait,
of the
wait, hold up.
case use
If
of
you're
the
using
word.
N-word to refer to a white person, it's still wrong. Would you use the N-word to refer to a white person?
I mean, in some circumstances, I think that you can use
What?
it in a comedic sense. That's hilarious. Sure.
You think white people using the N-word is okay in any circumstance?
Yeah, comedic senses especially. I think it's fine.
That's disgusting as fuck.
I mean, the counter.
Do it-
Oh my God!
Disgusting. Yeah, we got it. The counter to that would be like, hey, listen, it's not necessarily about using it against a particular group. It's about like the sensitivity of not using it where somebody could hear it and they would feel like shit for hearing it. You know what I mean? Why I try not to say it in person. You know,
Oh,
But
is that an
your
argument?
subjective
I don't say it at all.
Is that
There's no
an
basis.
argument, Parker?
Wait, me calling something disgusting because I think it goes against my
Oh,
moral
you think it's
intuition?
disgusting?
What's
Okay,
the
right.
argument?
Homosexuality is
That's
disgusting because
Am I
it
able
goes
to
against my
finish?
moral
All right, let me bring in.
Oh, he got him, dude. The debate bro wins.
Let me bring in Danny.
Can I respond?
Hang
You seriously didn't let me speak.
on. Let me bring in Danny. This is what NBC said, NBC News, when they covered the return of the R word. They said, while its use has percolated in the comedy world for years, only recently has the word and discussion of its return become more normalized. That is fueled in no small part by a sense that the tide has turned both culturally and politically against those seeking to keep the word out of the popular lexicon. But the battle lines are not as clear as one might think. And there's no doubt that's true. I mean, what is your view about this?
I mean, we got to remind ourselves why people like us are against use of the R word, and especially in public places, right?
Yeah.
It's because it was a term, I believe, like technical term for mentally disabled people, and we don't want to demean those people or accidentally offend people that have children or relatives or friends that are mentally disabled, right?
Just to be clear, I mean, not that it matters too much, but like the correct terminology is supposed to be the people in the IDD community, like intellectual and developmental disabilities. But that's just the proper term now. So just in case you cared.
And so it has that connotation, unlike the word dog. When Jesus used the term dog, right? There's no such connotation, right? You'll have to be reminded of why
I
it's
love when black people call me dog.
considered to be
Makes me feel like one of the gang.
slur, right? I mean, it's like you forgot.
I didn't mean that in like a. I didn't mean to imply black people are all part of gangs. Okay, just to be clear.
Yeah, but
This
so
is
is like
made
the
up.
word.
This is
So is the
not-
word.
Although, if you really think about it, the most famous gang, it's the Scooby Gang. So, what did you think I was going to say?
Made
Moron.
up.
So is the word moron. The word moron had a really negative societal connotation and it still does, and people use it all the time.
It's not nearly as socially attached at all to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the way that the R slur is, and like that, right? So,
Just in lieu of the word retard. They'll just say you're
Right,
a
but that's
moron
a-
instead of you're a retard.
the
It's like
R word is what
you're
we said,
hang on,
I think
hang on.
that matters.
You're begging. Hang on. You're picking and
arbitrary.
choosing. Yeah, you're picking and choosing which thing
not really like society's picking and choosing. Okay,
to be selectively offended by. You're
not really. Like we all know that there's certain things. Like these are just how words work. Words mean things. They have different values and different weights in different societies. We know that like the R slur is the most. We know that it's generally attached to people with disabilities, and it's like a slur that's explicitly typically against those people. It's been so. I mean, okay. I mean, this is just like a troll argument. It's not serious whatsoever.
not. I don't. So like, let me ask you guys this honestly.
It's a
I want you guys to
distinction of
answer me fucking honestly. Does the word retard actually offend you?
Yes. I think it's fucked
You,
up for me
Danny,
to use. I've been
does
very
it actually
clear. It's
offend you,
fucked up.
Danny, when somebody says
Yes.
the
Wait a
word
minute.
retard?
Yeah, it does.
So
It
if
does,
Zach
especially in public
Galifianakis,
places and professional places.
so Zach
like this.
Galifianakis does some when he does comedy and he does a movie and he makes a joke and says retort. Is that also bad?
I'm confused the context of what you're referencing. Is he specifically trying to
No, wait a
refer
minute.
to the
Now,
R
so
slur?
now
If he is,
context
then yes.
matters.
I mean, I think you could say it in a comedy context, I suppose. Yeah, for sure. Like it can be funny sometimes when people use slurs. I miss when you used to be able to, white people used to be able to say the N word in movies with the A. Like you would. That's like remember like the white boy shit. What was it? Malibu's Most Wanted. Like it's funny when white people try to act black. Like it's they're stupid, right? Unfortunately, we can't really get away with that anymore. But which horse should I choose, guys? Let me see. You know what? I like a light skinned one. Let me get a light skinned horse. Hell yeah.
Now
Yeah,
the
he's trying
context
to
matters.
allude to the word retard.
I don't. Okay, then yes, that's wrong.
Yes, that's
Okay.
wrong.
I thought
So-
you
I'm gonna call him Cage. Because it means shadow.
like
any,
someone.
any
I thought you
word
were.
that references another word now is wrong, like moron.
So specifically, in terms of the one I thought you were referencing like someone responding to an argument. I thought the particular term that you
No,
were using.
Zach Galifianakis in a comedy movie saying retort
I
as a
understand.
joke instead of retard.
So if your
Yeah,
friend
I think
says
that's
to
incredibly
Parker,
fucked up to use.
Okay, so now also any word
Yeah.
that refers to the word retard is now wrong, like moron.
I think if you're intentionally
Gotcha.
specifically trying
Again, like, why are we? This is why you don't talk to debate freaks like this.
to use a word right in place specifically of the R slur, specifically as to create the same type of outcome as the R slur.
So any
and I do
word
think
that could refer to that word
particular
is now wrong.
intention, I think that particular intention would.
But you can't
definitely
say the
be
word
wrong.
moron. So now you
Right,
can't
say the word moron.
You don't necessarily have that intention. It doesn't meet
so
the
this
particular
is
threshold of harm
you're
as
just
well.
spiraling into insanity because
That's not. I gave two
subjective.
conditions to separate
Is Kaji? Oh, okay. It's Cage to me.
it. I gave two conditions.
Who's-
Wait, it being
your
subjective is not a
conditions are
critique.
arbitrary.
Wait,
They're
wait,
made
wait,
up.
wait. It being
They're
subjective is not a
subjective.
critique. That's not a critique against
Yes,
the
it
view.
is. Yes, it
No,
is.
it's not. How is that a critique?
Yes, it is. If something's purely subjective, then I can come with all the same claims with all the same force, and there's no way to resolve the two. That's why purely subjective arguments fail.
Wait. There,
Well, I mean, like, life is generally a subjective thing. There's no object. I mean, I understand that it comes from a religious argument where there's like objective truths in it. But like most of the time they don't follow all of them, or else they wouldn't eat like fucking shrimp or something, or wear silk. But I understand that everything is pretty much like subjective. Like we engage subjectively in everything. What we call words is like a subject. That's everything is subjective. We're a society. We're a robust society that we're born into, full of a bunch of subjective rules, and we follow them, and then we could slowly change them. That's it. But okay.
there not being a resolution, particularly between the moral disagreement of me and you, isn't a critique, particularly of my perspective.
Then you can't say anything is morally wrong. There's no ought from an is.
Wait, I can say something is morally wrong under my perspective. You're misunderstanding subjective morality.
You're not giving.
Can
You,
wait, I have
can't
a
tell me
question.
why
I have a
it's
question.
wrong.
Nothing is real except book. True.
I have a question.
Objectively, if
I'll
I can
ask you this
also
question.
counter it.
Can I ask you this question? Do you think that morality is true
Oh,
dependent
Bruce.
upon God's stance or independent of God's stance?
Ultimately, it's grounded in God.
Okay, so
Right,
it's
and God is
subjective.
a subject. Yeah, God is a
No,
subject.
that's
so.
not a subjective argument. The argument.
Wait, God is a
The argument is
subject.
that it's objective.
God's
The
a
fact that a
subject.
person
God is
makes an
subject.
argument doesn't make the argument subjective. Your argument
God is
is
a
pure
subject.
subjectivism.
Is God a
Two
subject?
different things. It's a category error.
Is God a
How's that
subject?
category error?
It's two different categories. A subjective argument for
We're
ethics
two
is
different people too, right?
different
How's
than
it
a
relevant,
person
right?
who's a subject making an argument. Those are two
The
different
point is that God is a
categories.
subject; he's not an object, right? We're subjects, right? We understand morality in terms of
That's,
God. In fact,
that's you're equivocating again.
Look, can we bring this
The
back
fact
to
that
the
God's
point?
a
Wait,
subject
no,
doesn't
no,
mean
no,
that
no,
it's
you wanna
not
run away?
objective. That's
No, you
idiotic.
can't.
Wait, God having his particular view on morality is no different than me having my view because we're both subjects.
The
Can you tell me
argument
what
is
a
that
subject
it's an
What is it, Jay?
objective
What is a
morality.
subject? Jay, what is a subject?
You're equivocating on the fact
What
that
is
a
a subject?
subject is making an argument versus the
do you
argument
think
being
objective
subjective.
means? No, you
That's
said
a philosophical category error.
Jay, I
This
asked
is
you
like
if it's
talking
true.
to children.
I asked you.
It's a
I asked
category
you-
error, you idiot.
I gave you the youth road dilemma. I asked you if it's true dependent upon a stance or independent of a stance. You said it's dependent upon God's stance. That's subjective by
No,
definition.
I said that the argument for Christian ethics is not a subjectivist ethic, and because God is a subject, it doesn't make the system subjective. That's an
What do you
equivocation
think
error on
subjective
your
means,
part.
Jay? What does subjective mean? What does subjective
Purely
mean?
relative to the individual.
Okay, is God
so
an
true
individual?
dependent upon a stance.
Is God an individual?
That doesn't mean that the ethic is
Uh
subjective.
oh.
It's
Just
an
answer the
objective
question.
ethic. You're
Is
just
God an
rephrasing.
individual?
You're substituting the word individual for subject.
I'm asking you if God is an individual.
you
Yes
did.
or no, Howard?
That doesn't mean that the ethics is subjective.
Yes
That's
or
a
no?
system and
Who's running now?
It's an
Is God an
epistemological
individual?
argument that's
Just answer the
different
question.
from.
Let me bring
subject.
Andrew.
This is a
Andrew, you wanted
basic
to.
mistake.
Andrew, you wanted to get in here.
Jay's getting cooked, so he's
What were
got
you
to
gonna
get him out.
say?
Jay's getting cooked.
You're making a dumb
That's the
mistake.
question.
I'm lang-
This is so stupid.
Hang on. Let Andrew come in, please.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of obfuscating from the point. What does any of that have to do with the point of retard? So, and
He
you being
brought up
offended by a
subjective morality.
word.
Are you listening?
Yeah, Hank.
Well, I mean, it's a debate, right? So, like, you guys just say dumb shit all the time and bring up 18 different points instead of having an honest conversation about the point that you're on.
Can you hang on? I'm talking to Parker, not you, Danny. Calm down.
I'm
Wait,
talking
you
to
been
you.
cutting people off this whole
I
time?
don't
Calm down,
understand-
Daniel.
Yeah, I don't understand, Parker. When a friend of yours comes over and he says something to you, like you're in private, and he's like, "Hey, hand me that," and he tosses it and you miss it, and he goes, "You retard." You literally stop the kind. You go, "Don't say that. It's very offensive." Do you say that? It's very offensive. I really don't like it when you say. Do you dress him down, Parker? If you have someone who calls you a retard in a friendly
I
way.
mean, maybe he doesn't like that, you know, in his circles. I don't know.
I'm
I would like to say
sorry,
something.
my mic cut out, so I
I-
couldn't hear you.
I want to post
Yeah,
something to
if
Andrew.
you have a
I wanna
friend,
post
if you
Andrew.
have a friend, shut up, Danny. If you have a friend, Parker, and your buddy comes over and he like tosses you something and you drop it, and he's like, you retard. You dress him down. Do you go, "I can't believe
Yeah, I
it.
would
You,
say-
you called
yes,
me a
I would say that's
retard.
wrong.
Why?
That is-
That's
I would like to
hurting
say
other
something now to
people's
read the
feelings.
response. I would
But
like to
who's
say
around?
something. I would say
Parker,
that.
who's around to be
It's not
Parker?
hard
Who's
to
around to be
understand Parker's
offended
position.
except
Let him
you?
talk.
Who's
I'd like
around
to
to be
talk,
offended?
right?
But
I don't know. Maybe they just don't like those words. Like, who cares? What is this like a troll argument? This is just a stupid argument. hey, do you try to be sensitive in your language even when there's people that aren't around? Oh yeah, I like to try like saying that. You know, oh wow, you're fucking cringe. Okay, crazy. Like that's insane. You know.
That
I would
doesn't
like to ask
change whether or
Andrew a
not I think
question.
it's wrong.
Yeah, so I don't understand.
Let Danny respond. Danny?
I want to give Andrew a hypothetical. Suppose there's this unknown society where if you show this signal,
Hypothetically speaking, hypothetically speaking,
everyone's extremely offended. They'll get very angry, like people get angry at typical slurs like the N word, right? Would you go around just doing this?
Logic? The Vulcan sign for logic?
Do you understand the hypothetical?
What are you posing?
what did you have for breakfast this morning? Can you tell me what you had for breakfast this morning? Understand a hypothetical? It's my favorite one. Do you understand what you had for breakfast this morning? Are you smart enough to contend with that?
Hypothetical. So imagine
No,
you go to
I don't. Can you use really small?
Can
Can you use really small words, bro?
Okay, imagine a hypothetical, right, where you're going to a society you don't know about, but all you know is if you do this.
I'm
right,
imagining a hypothetical.
Let me finish. You didn't understand hypothetical, so I'm having to repeat it. So let me finish.
Yeah, repeat it. Use small
Let's
words.
say let's say this signal is extremely offensive in that society, really offends people. Would you go around just doing this to troll people, or would you not do it?
I would definitely tell him to live long and prosper, bro.
Okay, you're just not engaging in the hypothetical. You're not serious.
You're just debating. Oh. Like, yes, that's what the whole thing is, dude. You guys are all debate bros.
Person.
What do you mean? That is serious.
Oh, shit.
What I'm trying to illustrate is that if a term really offends a friend of someone, right, or a family member or something like that, why would you use a term but to piss them off?
The trouble is that we've got to a place in our society where the language police are now so out of control.
Oh my God, Piers is a cocksucker. Piers literally he literally said he doesn't like the word, and now he's like, the problem is that I don't like the word, but everybody's saying that they want to say the R slur. I think that it's actually understandable. Like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Stop being such a coward about it. Yes, there are some language police things. We call those things cringe all the time. It doesn't matter. All right, but you don't like the word. You could just be like, I don't like the word. I don't think people should be using it. No, you're going into some weird cultural arguments so that you could you could do this like weird fencing both sides cuck shit. Oh my God.
We can't even use the word in hospitals, mother, because somebody who is a trans person.
Yes, you can, dude. Have you ever been to a hospital before, bro? You can use the word. Nobody gives a fuck in the real world about saying the word mother or father. And you don't mean, nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck about this. This is a fake argument. This is a fake cultural argument. Nobody really means any of this. It's just stupid. This is a stupid cultural argument. It's not real, dude. It's not real, okay? It's Palestine. It's a little joke for you guys.
Trans man who's having a baby objects to the word mother. And that's the problem with language police, is that if there's...
Okay. Use some slurs because some other people are annoying sometimes. Got it. Thanks, Piers. Appreciate that, plus.
If there's no natural societal limitation to it, it's never ending. Somebody somewhere will always be offended by a word, somewhere. And at the moment in society, it's like there are 1,000 words that upset people. That's my problem with it.
And Danny, what do you do in that same hypothetical? If half the people...
All you have to do is be like, okay, Piers, so are you okay with the R slur or not? Oh, I don't like it. Okay, so then why are you saying what you're saying? You're being silly.
You need a different way.
Parker, you want to respond to that?
No, I want to respond to this particular point. Christians get oftentimes very angry about specific terms you use, whether it be in the context of their particular beliefs, whether it be transubstantiation, calling them a cannibal specifically under their view, if it is the case that they think it's the actual like body and blood of Christ that they're eating specifically within and drinking within communion, right? That us calling them a cannibal, they get really, really angry with, or us blaspheming the Holy Spirit, they get really angry with.
And you don't seem to care about doing that, do you?
They're no, I don't. They're the tone police.
Yeah, right.
You guys don't talk. You guys don't talk about that.
I don't know what that means. That's so funny. Yes, I think that Parker could get over. He can really get some swag points if he pulls out a jar and he opens it with these. I think that could really own him. I think that these two should have came in better, and they should have actually had a jar. Maybe they should have came in the jar and put a My Little Pony action figure in there.
No, it's not, because I'm not a Christian.
Yeah,
I don't hold those perspectives.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
hang on. That's okay. Hang on. That is fascinating. So,
Yeah,
in other
exactly.
words, you don't mind doing the slur against Andrew over
Against
things that he
Christians.
cares very passionately about his religion.
Well, no, that's not his point at all. You're being stupid if you even think that. He's literally just talking about the term cannibal. I guess some people get offended by being called a cannibal because they eat the body of Christ. That's not an actual slur. He's just trying to say like, oh, you will be sensitive to some words in some instances too. So like, why are you pretending you're not? That's the whole point, because that's it.
Because you don't share his religion.
Wait,
Therefore, you can't offend him. Therefore, you can't offend him.
How is that a slur?
He said, would you use the word cannibal? You said, yeah, you wouldn't care.
That's not a slur. That's not a slur.
Hang on.
It is to him.
They just
Hang on.
redefined
It is to him.
A slur was what offended people. It was
See, so
supposed to be
hang
what
on. So
offended
Parker,
people.
you decide
whatever
what.
offends is the
Hang on, just to be clear, Parker, you are the slur monitor, are you? You
Society is nobody thinks cannibal is a slur. So
decide what isn't a slur,
Ad hoc.
and therefore
I'm sorry.
you,
All
Parker,
definitions.
can say what the fuck you like, as long as you have
Dumbass
decided
Parker.
it's not a slur. You see the flaw in the argument.
It's all ad
Piers,
hoc.
obviously we
I
have
think Parker-
obviously we have definitions on what slurs are. I don't know why that's a confusing thing to you. Do you have a definition?
it's
Obviously
you
you have a
to find it.
definition.
I would say saying to a Christian,
Obviously.
I mean, it would be pretty basic if you just called Piers retarded here. Like, honestly, I'm not saying that you do that. Okay, I'm just using the word in context. Okay, but that would be kind of base if you did that right now, Parker. That would be the ultimate own. I mean, you're a debate bro anyway.
saying to a Christian that he's a cannibal because of communion or whatever, I think is utterly offensive. Yeah, and a slur. But you don't, because you don't share the religion. Therefore, you, language monitor Parker, have decided it's not a slur. And so as long as you don't think it's a slur, and this is my problem with your generation,
me, but not
is
for
that you're
me.
so easily offended, except when you're offending everybody else.
Wait, if it
Okay, cool.
genuinely is the case that it leads to a particular level of harm that I would say meets my particular threshold of harm, I would say we shouldn't use that term. All I was doing is describing specifically there are terms and words Christians think are very harmful
Well,
to them.
cannibalism is a criminal offense.
Listen.
Hang
they
on.
think
Parker,
we
there's a
should
lot more Christians
not-
than
not-
Cannibalism
not-
is a
not-
crime.
You're
You're accusing
equivocating.
of him of being a
You're
criminal.
equivocating. No, actually, you're equivocating because I'm using their own definition of the term cannibal specifically because it is the case that you're equivocating. Because that's not, I don't think it's actually like the body and blood of Christ. So they didn't actually, in a meaningful sense, violate any laws. Does that make sense?
And I don't think I'm actually calling somebody mentally, slow when I say retard either, Parker. So
What are you trying to say then when you say what is it that you're trying to say? Then okay.
It still meets a particular
What will that
threshold of
bring?
harm that I would consider.
okay, well, it meets a
Or
threshold of harm to
personal
me when you call
subjective
him.
threshold.
Yeah.
All right, we've got to leave it there. It's been a fascinating clash of...
Andrew.
Hang on, we've
It actually hasn't been Piers, but thank you.
got to leave it there. It's been a great clash of cultures. I think we should do this again. I think both
Yeah,
sides
happily.
are learning from each other and beginning to bond.
That you don't believe that. Your show is not about that. Your show is a performance piece. So,
Thank you all very much.
Come back without the mute button again, Parker.
ooh, got him.
Okay, you can keep interrupting, buddy. You're so scared.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask only one simple thing. Hit subscribe on YouTube and follow Piers Morgan Uncensored on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in return, we will continue our mission to inform, irritate, and entertain. And we'll do it all for free. Independent, uncensored media has never been more critical.
All right, cool. I guess I can't be too bad at Piers because he doesn't DMCA stuff. So I guess he's playing into this kind of debate bro community shit, huh? Yeah. Okay. Incredible. Yeah, Piers is the ultimate farmer, dude. He's the ultimate online drama farmer. He is literally what Hassan wishes he could be, dude. I'm just kidding.